Bienvenue. Welcome to Paris 2024, the 17th Paralympic Games, and to the wheelchair rugby here at the Champ de Mars, where we open proceedings with Great Britain versus Denmark in Group B.
Pour ouvrir cette session à la française comme au théâtre, place aux 3 coups pour lancer la compétition.
Ladies and gentlemen, in order to open the session with a French touch, as in theatre, it's time for les 3 coups to launch the competition.
Mesdames et messieurs, car le public est le cœur de ces Jeux paralympiques, nous avons décidé que ce serait l'un de vous qui ouvrirait cette session du jour.
Ladies and gentlemen, because the public is in the heart of the games today, one of you is going to open the session. Thank you all for coming, and please welcome our very special guest,
Cécile Riboli.
And the introduction of the coup de bâton, a tradition that harks back to the ancient theatre days of Paris. Attention, and pray silence for the performance to come, signified by 3 strikes of the coup de bâton. And we are ready, and welcoming our referee team, Liam Costello of Australian, Joseph Bongiovanni, Director of Education back in the United States, but today our referee for this Group B clash that pits the reigning Paralympic champions, Great Britain, who are top of the log, against Denmark, who fell to the hosts, France, yesterday. And here come the reigning champions, Great Britain, led out by captain Gavin Walker.
number 5, Jack Smith. Number 6, Dave Ross. Number 8, Nick Cummins. Number 9, Ollie Mannion. Number 10, Tyler Walker. Number 11, Kieran Flynn. Number 12, Jamie Stead. Number 13, Aaron Phipps. And number 14, Daniel Kellett.
7 MBEs and 4 Paralympic debutants among the Great Britain ranks. And the performance yesterday in their opener that was arguably their finest since that gold medal final in Tokyo. Aaron Phipps and Stu Robinson are outstanding, along with Jonathan Coggan and Jack Smith, who played every second. And Paul Shaw, also MBE, looking to mastermind back-to-back golds. Well, that was the result yesterday. 58-55 against the reigning world champions and world number 1s Australia. A message sent to the competition. The Danish side fervently supported here in Paris.
Number 8, Jesper Kruger. Number 9, Christian Bach-Eriksson. Number 10, Sebastian Fredriksson. Number 11, Mark Peters. And number 12, Mikael Schubel.
Leon Jørgensen leads out Denmark for the second time. Not so many hours. They were involved in the evening session last night against the host. It was bouncing for the Champ de Mars with the European clash and the home excitement, and the likes of Mark Peters and Sebastian Fredriksson, the 2 high pointers in the side, doing plenty of try-scoring damage. With USA's Jason Regier in charge of proceedings.
Et maintenant, merci de rester debout si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne national du Danemark.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Denmark.
God Save the King and the national anthem of Denmark. There is a lovely land which speaks of strong men and noble women. And in wheelchair rugby we have a sport which has both those in abundance.
Liam Costello, Australia. Referee 2, Joseph Bongiovanni, USA. Game Commissioner Nicole Hoyme.
The final pleasantries with Denmark in red searching for their first victory. It's their second visit to a Paralympic Games, having finished 7th in Tokyo. On that occasion, they got their campaign off to a flying start with a shock victory over the reigning gold medalists, Australia. Can they repeat the feat against Great Britain today, who start with their familiar high-low combination of Johnny Coggan, Stu Robinson, Jack Smith, Aaron Fitz, Leon Jorgensen, for Moma. Among those starting
Number 3, Stuart Robinson.
For the Danes.
Number 5, Jack Smith.
You can expect plenty of variety as well in terms of the on-court makeup of Denmark. All but 2 of their squad were deployed in that thrilling match against France yesterday, whilst for Great Britain they kept the personnel to 6. Just Coggan, Robinson, Walker, Smith, Flynn and Fitz being brought into the fray, but lots of other combinations available for coach Paul Shaw. Denmark are primed and ready to go, and this is a Danish side who have been on the rise for many years now. They achieved their best ever finish at the Worlds in Vejle only a couple of years ago, and here now the second consecutive Paralympics and a chance to take a golden scalp in Great Britain. Great Britain versus Denmark on day 2 of the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games is up and running. And Great Britain in blue take the first possession from the tip. Aaron Phipps links up with his fellow high pointer and asks Stu to stretch. And Robinson does just that and delivers the opening try of the contest. Well, off goes Sebastian Fredriksson. He scored 23 tries yesterday. It was a all-action performance, really. 3 steals in his day's work as well. It was great noise here in the Champ de Mars, and that Danish contingent, wearing the fabulously fashioned hats, were a big part of that as well, up against very raucous home support. Well, that's loose from GB, and it's the first turnover of the match. A breakdown in communication And Fredriksson latches on. He feeds it to his captain, Leon Göransson, the 39-year-old, in with the try to take the lead. So, an early error from GB, who in truth made barely one yesterday against Australia. A lot of people came away from that performance, from that victory, with altered perceptions of quite how deep Great Britain could go in this Paralympics. Of course, everybody arrives dreaming of gold, dreaming of medals. The GB cycle, since that triumph in Tokyo, hasn't been the best. They finished 7th in the World Championships in Denmark. Whereas these guys in red took a best ever 4th. And they were almost in the final. They lost a thriller to Australia in the semi-final by 1 try. And it is Denmark who have the early advantage. Though Stu Robinson levels things up as GB go long. And Fredriksson goes wheeling for a moment, but rebalances himself. Robinson, Smith working hard to be nuisances. But that's great composure, lovely movement as well from Göransson. Koromoma, who is a 1.5 classification player, providing the assist. We'll talk about classifications of players in wheelchair rugby. Each athlete is given a point score based on their functionality. It's a sport for quadriplegia, but there are varying degrees of functionality, of command of one's limbs and trunk. The higher the points, the higher the functionality. You can see their class points actually at the bottom of their chairs at the back. So you can see the back of Stu Robinson's chair there, 3.5. He's a highly functioning athlete, the RAF veteran. And so too Aaron Phipps, who spins out of a contact there. Goes back to his wingman, to use RAF terminology. GB have another try. The maximum cumulative points that you're allowed on the court at any one time is 8. That is, unless you have a female athlete on court, and then you get an extra 0.5 in that grand total. So Denmark at the moment, you look at their composition with Sofia Skubo, they'll be at 8.5. It's working out nicely for them at the moment because it's error-free and it's free try scoring at the moment. Phipps, oh, lovely weave. Just dropped the shoulder as Fredriksson came to interject. As has been the way for every session thus far. There's not many seats in the house here at the Champ de Mars Arena. And Denmark and Göransson are looking very, very assured. They were somewhat architects of their own downfall yesterday against France. Some errors that crept in at inopportune times, and also they found themselves trailing pretty much for most of the game, and each time they managed to peg back France. They didn't quite have enough juice to then overtake the French, and when you're chasing, there's mental and physical fatigue, and you're taking bigger risks, and ultimately they fell short, with the major moment at the death being Mark Peters shelling an opportunity to level things up with less than a minute on the clock. He and the Danes look to have wiped that memory. And they've come back refreshed, and goodness me, that is good work from Koromoma. Ensnaring Robinson, who's forced into a timeout. Outstanding work from the 32-year-old, who plays his club rugby for the Aarhus Burnouts traffic planner in Palais, but he was the one causing the traffic jam there as far as Stu Robinson was concerned. And for those new to the sport, you have 12 seconds to progress the ball from your half across the centre line. If you don't, it's a turnover. So with 10 seconds elapsed and Stu Robinson not backing his pace, called for the timeout. And now GB have 3 player ones remaining for the rest of the match. A loose ball is scooped up by Jamie Stead, who's on for his first minutes of Paris 2024. Youngest member of GB's gold medal team, and all the timeout was called by Stead there, with the clock ticking down to 1.5 seconds. Fabulous defensive pressure from Denmark. And that is 2 timeouts burnt by GB within pretty much a half of a period, the first period. I wonder, was that premature? Look, we've seen wholesale changes. Cummings in, Stead coming in also. Robinson wants to bully his way through. Instead, he transfers it to Jamie Stead. Man who was best in class for 2.5ers at the Cardiff Euros last year. Gets himself a first Parisian try. There's Jesper Kruger. Jesper Kruger travelling in reverse, gets his pocket picked. That was really fine work set upon by the GB crew. And the transfer as well, lightning quick to Robinson. He takes GB back into the lead. Mark Peters, 41-year-old high classification player, links up with Fredriksson, his fellow 3.5er. Nine apiece. Jamie Stead looking lively, going over the top, really asking a lot of Stu Robinson. And Sebastian Fredriksson was lightning quick to the opportunity, then hooks up with Peters. This is a hell of an opening period. Lots going on. There was hardly any opportunities for turnovers in GB's opener against Australia. But this one's really open, really well contested. And Denmark have come out firing. They've got the lead, 10-9. Long ball from Robinson, well taken from Nick Cummins. Robinson is finding himself man-marked and double-banked a lot of the time, really being targeted by the Danish defence. It's a nice ball back to Cummins. He's here for his second Paralympics. Peters will win the race to that one. That was a bit of a wheel spin into the post after scoring. You don't really see that too often. Whoa! Good save. Lucky he didn't hit the post before scoring, otherwise it would have been a turnover, but he's all good to do as much damage as he likes, post hitting the line. Great first period this, really enthralling the crowds here at the Champ de Mars Arena. We've moved onto the golden 2-minute mark. So this is where clock management comes into play. The desire of both these teams on court will be to be the last team to score before the end of the period. Like a mini break, if you were to put it into tennis terms, because GB won possession from the tip-off at the start of the match. As it stands, Denmark will be the team to start with the ball come the second period. So if Denmark are able to be the last to score at the end of the period, they'll then get the possession, and theoretically, they will back themselves to score the first try, and that'll open up a 2-try advantage. But it is all a case of if they can be the last to score. Different teams have different strategies in terms of when they like to score, how much time they like to allow their opposition to hatch their plan. 105, that can be a marker, 55 seconds as well. Just looking at the time left, 133, it's a 40-second possession. Both those are options for Denmark here, and as you can see, the defensive strategy being deployed here by Great Britain is a key defense. So they're saying, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. And here comes Fredriksson. Lures GB away from that key. You can see now ticking down the shot clock, and Fredriksson under a bit of pressure. Can he find the pass, or will he be forced into a timeout? Yes, he is. Interesting. So the going got a bit tough there for Denmark, who opted for the timeout with 55 seconds and a bit of change on the game clock. So they'll be reset to 15 seconds. So 15 seconds to score here. But they'll try and score as quickly as possible, really, in the hope that they may just get another opportunity to score should GB, as expected, go up the other end and get another one. Let's see what they're going to do here. Jesper Krua pops it in. Now the clock starts. That's when the clock starts. It's when the inbound is received, not from when it's thrown. Fredriksson being forced to go the long way round, try and circumnavigate this hounding GB defense, and eventually Krua, who threw the inbound, locks up Stu Robinson in the middle, and he frees up the right flank. And GB have 40 seconds to mount a reply. Stead has 1 second to cross the centre line, and he does so by finding a long ball to Stu Robinson. He holds on. See him just glance up at the stadium clock. GB have used 2 timeouts already in this period. They will be reluctant to use a third in terms of clock manipulation for this last try. They go to Stead, he'll try and stay in as long as he can, and then the Danes arrive and bump him across the line. Pretty good from GB. Denmark have only 5 seconds to try and head into the first period break. Oh, Stu Robinson picks off an intercept, and that is the dream result for Great Britain. It was a high press that put pressure on the inbounds from Krua. Robinson snaffled it, and wow, that is an outstanding outcome for Great Britain. Really smart thinking. The pressure pays on Peters and co. in the dying embers of the first period. And Great Britain lead Denmark 14 tries to 13. A tight, intense affair, and, well, the stats tell it all. 2 steals apiece, 1 try between them, all to play for in the remaining 3 periods.
Pour ce deuxième quart-temps, est-ce que dans la salle il y a des supporters de la Grande-Bretagne? Le Danemark, est-ce que vous êtes là?
If you're looking for vibes, then the Champ de Mars is the place to be. Close to sold out for every session. Over 2 million tickets have gone already across the entirety of the games. We're finally poised here, ready for the second period with GB leading Denmark 14 tries to 13. Second period underway between Denmark and Great Britain at Paris 2024. Day 2 of the wheelchair rugby programme, and it is GB leading by a slender margin, and Mark Peters, who is so physical. He is like a bull in the manner in which he looks to engage the chairs of opposition athletes. And here he comes, bit of interference being run there from Jakob Mortensen. And just about getting across the line, Kormoma. Denmark are levelled up. You can see the importance of GB getting that final try in the opening quarter, because it was Denmark who started with the possession. It will be GB who start the next one, as things stand. So by carrying in that advantage, depending on who has the possession at the beginning of the next quarter, can lead to a 2-try swing. Off goes Stu Robinson. Easy as you like. And he will take his time. He will take his time and allow Flynn, Walker, Coggan, the rest of his crew out there to try and impact themselves defensively. You see right there now, a bit of jockeying, a couple of fender benders. Robinson notches off the score. It's an easy inbound for Denmark, and Peters, who's sharpening his tools by playing over in the States. He's been playing for TIRR Texas. And he's been very complimentary about the mentality and the physicality, the level out there. He says that every match is uber competitive. You can get a bit of a disparity in club quality in Europe. But in the United States of America, who were really the early adopters of this sport, it was invented in Canada, but it was the USA who turned it into a sporting art, really, and brought the uber competitive edge and the snarl that we see as customary on the court from every nation now. So Peters has been enjoying himself in Texas he, like Stu Robinson, a war veteran on a tour with the Danish military in Afghanistan, and that led him to the Invictus Games, where Denmark took bronze, and from that moment on, in his words, he knew he had to dedicate himself to this sport. This was to be his path. He's been instrumental in this purple patch of Danish wheelchair rugby history that sees them at their second Paralympic Games, and well within this fight against the Paralympic champions. Beautiful ball over the top. Jakob Mortensen. He gets himself a try. And Robinson is doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as try scoring is concerned. Bit of a different makeup to the GB look that we saw yesterday. There was a big dependency on him and Phipps together in tandem, but we're seeing Paul Shaw give the different looks of his team a run out. Peters unable to be stopped by Gav Walker. Robinson on the ball. Denmark all keyed up. Peters calls for the switch. Thunders into Robinson. Pirouettes out. Good from Flynn. Just afforded Robinson sufficient room to skirt round the edge. Off goes Peters. He's got a taste for tries in this period, that's for sure. Passage that is seeing both Peters and Robinson dominate at the moment. Robinson, a player that Peters has spoken very openly about admiring as well. Gav Walker. That's some control and composure from Flynn, isn't it? He's on Paralympic debut, and he's really been spoken of in glowing terms of what a cool head that he has. Plays his club rugby for Leicester Tigers, along with many other Great Britain players, and an arm comes in there from Flynn, but it strikes the arm and not the ball. So an infringement from Flynn, a try nevertheless. He says that he is constantly evolving as an athlete every day that he takes to the court. We're playing wheelchair rugby as a result of a neck injury when playing rugby union. Really impressing now in GB colours, having only made his debut in 2022 here in Paris against Poland. So fond memories of the city of blinding lights. Well, it's you score, I score at the moment, and Gav Walker's going to get in on the act. Tries to his name now. 12 to Robinson. The key scoring outlet for GB. They've been shared around a little more by the Danes. Peters leading the way with 7. And here's Jakob Mortensen. passes to get the dribble. Peters arrives to lend a helping hand and accelerates through the hole between Flynn and Walker. Poor Mama playing a key role there in snarling up the GB defence, just affording that room. We've got to stop because, well, there we go, Stu Robinson, 1 steal, 12 tries. Big points of proof for Stu Robinson, who missed the World Championships through concussion. That was hosted in Denmark. That was where GB came a very disappointing 7th. All change in Paris, though, by the looks of things at the moment. There's his opposite, Peters. And there's Phipps back onto the court, back scoring tries. Great Britain 24, Denmark 23. Fredriksson back into the action. Sofia Skubo in there, making a nuisance of herself. Jørgensen, the captain as well, reinstated. It's the starting line for Denmark, the line that had them on top for most of the opening period, but Fredriksson can't find a way through. He's going to have to go aerial, and Robinson almost gets Norma. The Aarhus burnout. Slips it in reverse and gets the try. Phipps. Ambitious ball. Coggan reads it beautifully. The 6-time Paralympian shows all his ring craft to be in the right place at the right time, and that's quite a claim as well from the 0.5 classification player. Jack Smith is in pursuit, but he won't get there to catch his fellow number 5. Paul Moma gets his 3rd try. Phipps and Fredriksson, that is a race I don't mind feasting my eyes on. 2 of the fastest in the game, but Phipps universally regarded as the fastest. And just showing that explosivity. And Fredriksson toppling over as a result. Back on his wheels in no time. Part and parcel of the sport that some people refer to as full contact chess, such as the tactical blends and the clash of metal. These chairs, highly engineered, they're not cheap, I can tell you that. Each custom built. Oh, that's a brilliant steal from Phipps. Just got his hand in the cookie jar, but what about that from Jørgensen? He's back to claim it, but maybe he's carried it back across the centre line. Or did he call a timeout? Let's take a look. Phipps was lurking, wasn't he? Swooped in, scooped it in court, hoping that a blue jersey might get to it first, but pretty sure that GB will settle for Denmark being forced into a timeout. Smart thinking from Jørgensen. So both Great Britain and Denmark have 4 timeouts apiece. 2 coaches' ones, 2 player ones. 2 and 2. Peters and Kruger back on for the latter stages of the period, just as Denmark did in the first quarter. Fredriksson finds Peters. Phipps. He's looking laser focused. You just watch just how fast he can get himself going from a couple of pumps of the arms. Not sure anyone in the game generates acceleration quite like him from a standing still. Ticking away for GB. They're in a spot of bother here. Stu Robinson has got through by a whisker. 0.1 of a second. Fredriksson looking to score fast. That's brilliant. Zips down the court, scores with 52 seconds on the clock. That is pretty prime from Sebastian Fredriksson. And it should, in theory, hand Denmark the opportunity to be the last to score in this period. The first possession of the second half will go to Great Britain. It looks like we've lost a bit of air in one of the balls, maybe. Ordinarily, it's tyres taking the toll, but get one of the mechanics on the ball. Young Tyler Walker there. 20 years old, first major competition. Not bad doing it at the Paralympics. One for the future, I'm very much sold. Here we go, there's the minutes. Coggan being deployed more as the 0.5 option today. It was Jack Smith who didn't miss a second yesterday against Australia. Off goes Stu Robinson. GB, 25 seconds left to score. Robinson surrounded, looking for his teammates to do a bit of work off the ball. He's holding on now, is Robinson, and maybe GB are going to be happy to use a timeout here. Almost gets swiped away by Peters. And the timeout gets called. GB have manufactured a last try of the period opportunity for themselves. No hanging around. There's the inbound. Denmark key up. Skubot wearing 6 there, and Robinson will try and delay his passage across the line. Oh, he finds Phipps quite exquisitely. So much pressure, so many decisions to make, but ice in the veins. And Phipps on the fly, and GB get the final try of the half.
Half-time in game number 5 of Wheelchair Rugby Paris 2024. 10-minute half-time break with Great Britain.
Half-time of the Champ de Mars in the Wheelchair Rugby Group B. Great Britain 28, Denmark 27. It's a colourful crowd here in Paris. The Champ de Mars, by the way, is the 7th arrondissement, which is the arrondissement of nobility. We're in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. It is quite a spot, but it is as vibrant as it's ever been with these people here supporting all the nations of the Paralympic movement. that's how it all unfolded statistically, and as you can see, really not much to choose between the sides. And steals, penalties, defensive fouls maybe. That's why there is just a point between GB and Denmark as the players take a well-deserved break. And the crowd get revved up by the on-court entertainment here of the Champ de Mars.
Plus fort, je vous entends taper dans les mains en rythme, allez. Voilà, comme ça. C'est comme ça qu'on démarre toutes nos sessions avec un petit karaoké. Vous allez voir les paroles s'afficher. Et pour vous, on l'a joué anglophone. Comme ça, tout le monde peut chanter. Et franchement, je vous dis, vous laissez pas chanter à moi, bah, ça va être un carnage. Hein. Au bout que ce soit vous qu'on entende. Hein. Faites-moi confiance, ça va monter progressivement. C'est un gros classique. On va faire comme ça, la raison. On va faire tous les bras. Tous ensemble, les bras en l'air. Allez, on bouge de gauche à droite. En face, c'est pas mal en face. Ok.
Don't stop believing. That's the message from the DJ at the Champ de Mars. And Great Britain and Denmark, who are separated by a point at half-time, will be full of just that. Belief. Belief in victory here today and belief in carrying them forward to the semi-finals of Paris 2024. Great Britain versus Denmark. The second half of day 2 of Paris 2024 is underway. And it is the Brits in blue leading by a try and with the possession, which they duly convert, and they open up a 2-point advantage, as bigger lead as either side have held throughout the match. That's the importance of the possession, the importance of getting that final try of the period. And this is the business end of the match, and it's a slip from the grip of Leon Jørgensen, but I think, for his good fortune, it's ricocheted off the shoulder of Stu Robinson. Oh no, it came off Jørgensen, so it should be Great Britain's inbound. No one in blue has gone to the sideline yet. Mainly because Stu Robinson's getting a bit of a tune-up on his chair. And here we go, it is a turnover. It was unintentional. Stu Robinson didn't play at it, and it is in his hands now after a lovely inbound from Kieran Flynn, and he gets the 1-2 back. Fast start for GB, really big moment that. Just as they stretch ahead to 2, now they lead by 3. They're a timeout down compared to the Danes, but the scoreboard is what matters come the end. Fredriksson, you saw him just slam the anchors down, didn't you? He was just gliding along in the manner in which he does. Hit the brakes, reassessed, sped off for more. Jack Smith of the Northeast Bulls, unable to stop him. Bit of movement on the touchline as far as GB are concerned. Johnny Coggan and Aaron Phipps in the substitute box, so they're ready to come on. Flynn to Walker. Walker happy to hold on, and then hit Flynn. Nicely done. Fredriksson has both Walker and Flynn for company. So Jørgensen is picked out from the inbound from Momma. And Jørgensen goes weaving. He pretzels Stu Robinson. Tied up in knots. Lovely from Leon Jørgensen. Will have his wife Karina and sons Tor and Hjalte cheering on very, very vocally, I'm sure. It's a great Danish contingent here, adding additional colour and noise to the Champ de Mars. And there you go. That's a nice little burst for Denmark, 31-30. Back to within a try. Here come the changes. Jørgensen departs, Peters is on, Kruger as well. And as foreshadowed, Phipps and Coggan for Walker and Flynn. Smith with the inbound to Flynn. Him and Fredriksson gonna go at it again. Peters is arriving, there you go. Big shot coming in. Such a pleasing sound, isn't it? Clunk of chairs, the thwack. But Phipps rides out all the challenges and he makes his way across the try line. 2-point cushion restored for GB. brilliant ball, wonderful pickup as well. Jesper Krue just reaching down and flipping that ball up with his right limb. Expertly done. The man who's at his second Paralympics. Peters and Robinson are going to know each other very, very well come the conclusion of this morning's action here in Paris, and it is the work of Peters that has forced Robinson to use Great Britain's fourth and final player timeout. Good passage this for Denmark. They got the turnover. Oh, and it slipped through the grasp of Stu Robinson. A nightmare few seconds for the number 3. Forced into the timeout. And just the lapse of concentration as the inbound came from Smith. Denmark, with this inbound, with this possession, should, in theory, draw level.
Great Britain this time calling a coach's timeout for 60 seconds.
The mood of GB has dictated that Paul Shores felt it necessary to use one of his coach timeouts. That means that Great Britain only have one remaining timeout to play with. It's a long way from the end of the match as well. Period and just shy of 6 minutes to go. Not a bad outing so far here in Paris. Stu Robinson with a rare moment of inaccuracy. Sees the ball in Fredriksson's hands. Beautiful ball over the top. It's so nicely done. Peters knew precisely what his fellow 3.5 man was up to. And latched on the end, despite Phipps, Coggan and Robinson. Robinson to Phipps. Cruising home. Fredriksson responds. Two quite similar players in style, doing similar things, going the length. Fredriksson goes, Phipps goes. GB take the lead again. Off goes Peters. Peters being pursued, but Peters too far gone for Phipps. Denmark, unfairly or not, have maybe come to Paris with the lesser expectations upon them in terms of the European offering, but you look at their trajectory as a nation. 2 silvers, 3 bronzes in the last 6 Euros. That's how they booked their place here in Paris when they claimed bronze in Cardiff in 2023. It's finishing their history at the Worlds, the last one that was held in Palais. They've sort of missed Great Britain on the big stage a little bit in these competitions. They did meet in the pool stage in Cardiff in 2023 at the Euros, and they were beaten rather comfortably. A lot can change in a year, and You look at their victories over France in the Worlds and that narrow loss to Australia in the semi-final. And not a team to be underestimated. And they're certainly showing that. This win, if they were to achieve it, would not just only set them up very nicely, it would blow this pool right open. How about that for instinctive play between Fredriksson and Peters? Ball lifted into space, Peters racing onto it. We've got a real match on our hands, a tussle. Comes Jamie Stead again. Had a real nice impact, the man born in Normanton, the UK, who also competed in para swimming back in the day and was a wheelchair basketball player for a good 8 years before turning to wheelchair rugby. It's a tried and travelled path, wheelchair basketball to rugby. Basketball, of course, coming first, and really basketball being the genesis of the sport of wheelchair rugby. The Canadians adapted it in 1977 back in Winnipeg. Just a bit of the octane taken out of the season at the moment. There's Kurt Busk, 57 years old and going strong, wearing 7. That is on a sixpence from Fredriksson to Peters. Fredriksson receives it back. Good D from GB. They're making life really tough, but Peters loses it from his grasp. There's a squabble on the floor. Who's going to come away with it? It'll be held, I'd imagine. Let's have a look at that arrow on the centre line. Can't see it quite at the moment, but it is pointing in the direction of the Great Britain try line. So that means that Denmark will get the possession here. So they get the inbound, and you might think, well, that doesn't really do anything. They had the ball before, but because they've been given that possession, it means now the arrow has flipped. It means that now, next time, should things remain the same, come the start of the next period, that Great Britain will have the possession, whereas once before it would have been Denmark. So it's a mini turnover of sorts by forcing that possession arrow change. Off goes Robinson, pursued by Peters. Weaves back in left, pirouettes out. Clunks chairs with Kerr. Nice take from Cummins. Another Leicester Tiger. Another man, one of many, who saw the famous movie Murderball. Well, no, he didn't see it. His sister watched Murderball, and she said, "You've got to play this sport." I would venture that few documentaries on sport ever produced have had such a profound impact in participation. (38-37). Approaching 2 minutes. Jason Regier, 49-year-old, who himself featured in 3 Paralympic Games as a player for the United States of America. He is coaching this Danish outfit, and he's coached them to some success since taking the reins. Got some real talent though, like Fredriksson, like Peters, like Schubo, who's going to try and impact things here in the middle. But Stead and Robinson latch on to Peters. Before Peters squirms away. Now, if you look there, you think, well, there were 2 GB players on one Dane. Why weren't they able to stop them in the way that, say, Jack Smith was doing in the backcourt there? Ooh. Robinson loses his balance after a big arrival from Peters. The Danish bench has gone up here. And we'll await the decision from the referees. Well, Fredriksson is in the penalty box. It's been deemed a spinning foul. So Great Britain will play against 3 Danes now. So either the next 60 seconds or until they score. Paul Short, you saw, was a little bit animated there. He felt it was a flagrant foul. He wanted a little bit of an upgrade in terms of the severity of that contact. And you're seeing Stu Robinson once again delay his journey across the try line. That's because they want to position everyone. See, Jack Smith has now covered off Fredriksson. So Fredriksson has been forced to take the inbound. That means that Fredriksson, a high classification player, won't be an option on the inbound. And Fredriksson, just like he did against France in the opening match, not as familiar with inbounding. Cummins so close to snaffling that. And it's been deemed to have come off the Danes. Fredriksson not happy. A turnover for GB. Cummins looking for Stead, who's ghosted in with no one at home. Significant moment there. GB with a 2-try advantage. Peters taking it under duress, and he really rode the contact well. Robinson arrives, he's making life really difficult for his opposite 3.5er. Peters, so strong, so determined. It's a wonderful aggression to the way that he plays the sport. It's a wonderful character though as well. And again, reintroducing himself to Stu Robinson, Jamie Stead. Robinson spots a gap. Peters can't close it. GB have a 2-try advantage once again. Now Denmark have 24 seconds to score here. They'll want to be the last to score in the period, because they will want arrears to be just 1 at the break. And also they are going to be mindful that GB will start with the ball for the 4th period. Jamie Stead penalised for contact on the arm. He's off to the penalty box. So ideal conditions here for Denmark, who will compete against 3 chairs. Fredriksson with 10 seconds, gets past Smith. Beautiful dribble and weave. Robinson tries to get his arm in, and Fredriksson does an expert job. Made it look easy, but it was incredibly skillful. That whole slalom, look at that. So the final play delivers a try to Denmark. They trail by 1, but GB will have possession for the fourth period. Game still on a knife edge, but GB shading the advantage. They lead 41 points to 40. Once again, the game statistics showing very little between the sides, and still we're at the end of a quarter and there is a one-try disparity. Wheelchair rugby at the Champ de Mars at Paris 2024. Group B action between Great Britain and Denmark with 1 period to play and just 1 point between these two European heavyweights. Nick Cummings of Great Britain gets us underway for the fourth, the final, the decisive period in this match against Denmark. Great Britain leading 41-40, and with the first possession and capitalising upon it, they have the 2-try advantage. But one thing they don't have is another player timeout. Just one coach timeout remaining, whereas Denmark have 2 coach timeouts, 1 player timeout, but also a bit of an incline on the scoreboard to climb. Very finely poised. And Mark Peters retreats to take a run-up, but a slightly unsympathetic pass to Cormomet. And his number 5 can't pouch the pass, and it bounces agonisingly from the chair. That's going to be another opportunity for GB, for Jamie Stead. The 2.5 player races away, and he compounds that error from the Danes. A 3-point cushion, huge at this stage of the match. Denmark need a couple of turnovers here to get them back into contention. They need to force some errors on GB, who've looked pretty composed. What about that? For risk, reward, but also the timing and precision. The arm of Robinson coming across, but unable to swipe, because the pace and the placement and the trajectory and the dip of the pass was just perfection. Stead a grab and go. Coggan gets himself a try. A rarity for the 0.5 player, but he's backed himself a brace here against the Danes. Now this guy scores them for fun, as they say. Sure, when scoring tries isn't fun, but he's done it 16 times now. And he's keeping Denmark just about in reach. Robinson takes a bit of pace out of the finish. GB will be looking for this clock to evaporate as quickly as possible. Denmark will be looking to score quickly, but pressurise GB in their point-scoring deeds. They'll look for steals, they'll look for turnovers, and Peters is all snared up there by Cummins. That's good stuff before the arrival of Robinson to hammer home the point. Lovely ball into Mortensen. He's a big electric hockey fan. And then Peters is working hard around the edge. In fact, Mortensen's a two-time Danish champion at electric hockey, which is also known as power chair hockey, and that is a power play from Denmark, just what the doctor ordered. Instead under the pump, and sticky paws from Mortensen. That's one of the steals that they needed. 4 to Denmark to GB's 3. They're back within range, although GB still have that break. And now that 2-point cushion again. Peters picking his spot. Robinson gets trapped by Busk, and he gets away. Well, it's good D on Peters. Coggan. Oh, that's lovely. Travelling one direction, flipping it one-handed. Back to Mortensen. Him and Peters working beautiful unison. .47.45. Coach's timeout. Called by Denmark. They've got plenty of them to use. Bit of a strategy check from Jason Regier, who has tasted every coloured Paralympic medal as a player. Bronze in London, silver in Rio. Most importantly, gold in Beijing. The last time the USA won gold at the Paralympics, 16-year drought as far as they and Chuck Aoki are concerned. This is all about the Europeans. This is about Denmark registering their first win. It's all about GB putting themselves in the box seat for semi-final qualification. This is all about Fredriksson delivering tries as he does. High press from the Danes with their fans watching anxiously. They're putting pressure on this inbound on Jack Smith, and he waits patiently, and Robinson frees himself up. He goes to Phipps. Phipps doesn't jet off quite as he usually does. Instead, he finds Fredriksson and Peters. Coggan's alongside him, trying to help him out. Oh, it's risky, and one bounce, and fortunately, if you're of a GB persuasion, into the arms of Stu Robinson. He finds Phipps. And Phipps is escorted across the try line by Fredriksson. 48-46. Just over 4 minutes to go. Easy does it from Peters, who also plays for Frederiksberg Falcons. Lots of these Danes playing for the Falcons. Race on here. Fredriksson can't get there though. Robinson first to it. Peters showing no signs of diminishing energy. Fredriksson arriving. Krua takes Coggin out of proceedings, and now there should be a bit of room for Fredriksson, but Jack Smith is working hard in the key. Well, they've really had to work for it, haven't they? But they do find a way to unlock that key. For want of a better, less muddled phrase. 49-48. Can Denmark get a steal? Can they force a turnover? Just a clip of the back axle on Phipps. But again, as you can see, he's in no rush to get across the line. He fakes his attentions on Fredriksson, takes the inbound. That's the Danish 10. He goes to Peters, who's continuing to have Stu Robinson as his shadow. Been inseparable throughout the match, these two. And we're getting to the crunch seconds of the contest. .235 to go. Fredriksson leading the attack on Great Britain's key, which is well resourced. Smith comes out to meet the three-point-fiver. Arms come up, ball goes over, Peters scores.
Denmark number 15, Mark Peters, number 21 for him individually.
Strong D, desperate D, in fact, from Denmark, but eventually Robinson finds his way around. Difficult for these high classification players to defend against each other. They don't have the pick bar at the front of their chair to trap the opponent's wheel. Just like Smith does there. Then Robinson comes in, flings up an arm. That could be the game. 3-try advantage with less than 2 minutes on the clock. It was Smith and Robinson in tandem. Smith got the pick bar into the wheel of Fredriksson. And as panic set in, Robinson's arm shot up at the opportune time. He was first to the bounce. And Great Britain now lead 53-50. Denmark, they need a spark. Not all hope is lost. A couple of big plays change things in an instant. You can see there the laser focus of Robinson and Smith, and that's the travel of direction on the scoreboard. That pair of points back to back having an impact, a profound one in fact. The stadium is loving it. The Danish support, they need to get behind their team here. Fredriksson looking for a quick way to get across the line. He does so eventually. Stead is now on and Cummings. So a couple of midpoint players, maybe with more of a defensive eye on proceedings at GB. That is a take under some pressure with Momet and Fredriksson sandwiching Stead. Off he goes, eyes on the prize, one little wriggle and a weave. Try time for GB. One coach timeout remaining for GB, one player timeout for Denmark. The player ones are 30 seconds, the coach ones are 60. Fredriksson with his team trailing 54-51. Skirt so close to the paint. Receives the ball back. Has to be careful he doesn't travel back across the centre line here. He hasn't got many options, but he does find that one of Momet. Back to Fredriksson. Time dissipating as far as the Danes are concerned, both in terms of to score the try and of the match. What a ball. What a ball under immense pressure. Mortensen latches on. But if GB just hold on to this, they're home and hose and the game is done and dusted. Stead wants more. He wants another try. He gets another try. Great Britain 55, Denmark 52. And Union Jack emblazoned supporters putting their hands together, rising to their feet for the final act of a match that is going to end in a GB win. Fredriksson goes racing off. GB still working so hard despite having this one all sewn up. Momet, lovely interplay. Receiving it from Mortensen. I mean, that is beautifully worked. Jamie Stead will just hold on to this and he'll roar. So too will the Gav Walker Appreciation Society. And GB roar to a second win. In 2 matches, smiles on dials for Aaron Phipps and co. Great Britain have defeated Denmark 55 tries to 53 here in the wheelchair rugby at the Champ de Mars in Group B. It is as vibrant as it is cacophonous here at the Champ de Mars. True buy-in from all the spectators, and they have been treated to an outstanding contest between 2 top teams. In fact, all 8 teams have very much worked their place here in Paris. Great Britain have arrived in fine form. And Denmark, while they had their moments, they were never truly able to capitalise upon the times when they achieved parity. It's celebration time for those who've travelled across the channel. Well, that's how it ended up statistically. Very little to choose between the sides. Level on steals, similar penalty count, turnovers too. But the key statistic, as ever, is the one at the top, and that is try scored. And it was Great Britain triumphing over Denmark, 55 to 53. And that's how Pool B looks in. It looks pretty good as far as Great Britain are concerned. 2 from 2, 4 points top of the log. Denmark will be hoping that Australia can do them a favour against France to keep them within the hunt for semi-final qualification.
Champ de Mars. On espère que vous avez repris un petit peu des forces, que peut-être vous êtes allés vous restaurer, faire un petit tour à la boutique. En tout cas, une chose est sûre, c'est que dans quelques instants, on va passer au match suivant entre les États-Unis et le Japon. Ils vont pas tarder à rentrer sur le terrain pour leur échauffement. Supporters de l'Arena du Champ de Mars, est-ce que vous êtes toujours là?
We're standing by to welcome the players very shortly out for their warm-up for match number 2 of day 2 here at Chateau de France. Fans of USA, are you ready? And let's hear it from fans of Japan.
Arena Champ de Mars, s'il vous plaît, on tape dans les mains pour accueillir l'équipe des États-Unis.
Please welcome into the arena for their warm-up, Team USA.
Et maintenant, l'Arena Champ de Mars, je veux vous entendre taper aussi fort que possible dans les mains pour l'équipe du Japon.
And now we welcome their opponents, Japan.
Bien aidé par leur capitaine Chateau qui a inscrit un nombre de 21 essais et volé 2 balles pour aller ensuite à l'essai lui-même. Le Japon de son côté s'est imposé également juste après lors du dernier match de la session, c'était face à l'Allemagne 55-44.
Let's take a little more about the two teams that are taking part in this match. USA edging a game over their North American rivals and neighbours Canada yesterday this same slot, 1:30 match. 51 to 48, whereas Japan were in action in the evening game yesterday. A comfortable victory in the end over Germany by 55 points to 44. USA looking to end the wait since 2008 for Paralympic gold. World rank number 2, Japan, world rank number 3, bronze medalist for Tokyo 2020.
Concernant un petit peu leur statut actuellement, la Grande-Bretagne, les États-Unis qui sont quatrième au dernier jeu de Tokyo et qui sont actuellement surtout plutôt bien classés au rang mondial puisqu'ils sont numéro 2. Ils ont terminé donc médaille d'argent lors du dernier championnat du monde et ils ont à faire évidemment d'aller chercher une belle médaille olympique au Japon. Ils sont comptés du 3e rang mondial, donc une médaille de bronze lors des derniers Jeux olympiques. On va voir ce que ça donne entre ces deux équipes.
And a couple of individuals to keep an eye out for. USA's co-captain Chateau, 21 tries and 2 steals in the first match against Canada. He played every minute, every second of that first match. And for Japan, keep an eye out for Daisuke Ikizaki, number 7, 18 tries and 1 steal for him in their victory over Germany.
match de cette session, mais peut-être que vous étiez un petit peu en retard et que vous avez donc loupé les explications des règles, puisque on ne va pas vous laisser comme ça. Si c'est la première fois que vous assistez à du rugby fauteuil, voici toutes les explications sur notre écran géant avec Alliance, on vous explique toutes les règles.
We know many of you will have been here in the arena for the first match this morning, but a number of you may have just come into the arena to take in the USA-Japan match. A lot of you, of course, as we all know, will be experts in the sport. Friends and family will have watched your loved ones play many times, but of course we're looking to make it as accessible as possible to new supporters as well. So keep a looking on the big screen now for our Alliance explainer video in both French and English to tell you a little bit more about wheelchair rugby.
On commence à se mettre tout doucement dans l'ambiance avec notre dance cam. C'est parfait, ouais, bien joué. Nickel, merci. Allez, la dance cam continue à faire son petit bout de chemin. Comme vous la voyez, pareil, on fait bouger les fils, on fait bouger les mains, on danse, on tape dans les mains, tout ce qu'on veut. La team USA, ils sont là. Parfait, ça. Ouh, il n'était pas prêt, il n'était pas prêt. Le petit souvenir, coucou.
Welcome to the Champ de Mars Arena in the 7th arrondissement of France's capital city, Paris, our hosts for the Paralympic Games, the 17th iteration. And focus here in this fabulous arena is the wheelchair rugby, and we have Group A action between two undefeated sides, the United States of America and Japan.
On l'a eu le cœur, on l'a eu, on l'a eu.
Well, here we are, our refereeing team, Kevin Bowie of Canada, leading as referee number one, and alongside Christian Hempfling of Germany. And that's how Palais stands after the opening day action. It was Japan with a handsome victory over Germany, returning to the games for the first time since 2008, whilst United States of America came up trumps in the all-North American affair against Canada.
Mesdames et messieurs, l'Arena Champ de Mars, s'il vous plaît, ils sont prêts. Merci de faire un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour l'équipe des USA.
Silver medalists in Tokyo vying to end a 16-year drought for gold, dating back to Beijing 2008, the United States of America.
Numéro 9.
Captain at number 9, Eric Newby.
Numéro 2.
Number 2, Chuck Belton.
Numéro 6.
Number 6, Jeff Butler.
Numéro 8.
Number 8, Sarah Adam.
Numéro 10.
Number 10, Josh Wheeler.
Numéro 11.
Number 11, Lee Fredette.
Numéro 15.
Number 15, Josh O'Neill.
Numéro 21.
Number 21, Clayton Brackett.
Numéro 23.
Number 23, Brad Huntsman.
Numéro 44.
Number 44, Zion Reddington.
Et numéro 55.
And number 55, Mason Simons.
The Team USA introduced with the final man out, Mason Simons, on his Paralympic debut that he made yesterday in that victory against Canada. Chuck Aoki, as ever, one of the men to watch, and a co-captain with Eric Newby.
Numéro 1.
But there are plenty of threats, and Josh Wheeler was outstanding yesterday against Canada. Joe Delagrave, he was a player this time 3 years ago in Tokyo, winning silver. He hopes to lead the United States of America to gold this time, and that scalp of Canada there to see. But here come Japan.
Numéro 7.
Number 7, Daisuke Ikizaki.
Numéro 11.
Number 11, Ryuji Kusama.
Numéro 13.
Number 13, Shinichi Shimakawa.
Numéro 14.
Number 14, Shunya Nakamachi.
Numéro 22.
Number 22, Seiya Norimatsu.
Numéro 23.
Number 23, Hitoshi Ogawa.
Et numéro 32.
And number 32, Katsuya Hashimoto.
Japan are led by Haga Masayuki. The last man out is Hashimoto Katsuya, the 22-year-old who was 19 in Tokyo, didn't see much court time, but is a really thrilling prospect. But then you look at the rest of the roster, you look at 21, Ike Yukinobu, you look at Ikazaki Daisuke, these are some of the greats of the game. And Kishi Kotaro, the 52-year-old, is the coach.
Of United States of America.
Merci de rester debout si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne national du Japon.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Japan.
An anthem we heard many times in our time in Tokyo when the Japanese hosted the world for their Paralympics. It was
The officials for this match are
a Paralympic Games that Japan and their captain Ike Yukinobu left with such disappointment, distraught at not bringing home the gold that they felt was destined to be theirs. He said to himself that he still struggled to get to grips with why they didn't win it, but he says, I believe again here in Paris. Aoki, Adam, Fredette and Simons are the quartet for the USA. Sarah Adam, the first female to represent USA at wheelchair rugby at the Paralympics. Ike, Kusaba, Ikezaki and Ogawa will be the four who will start for Japan. Ikezaki and Ike, both actually going by the same name of Ike Ikezaki, the shortened version, but the main thing is they are two outstanding players. Both three-point classifications. Ike, distinctive by the height at which he sits in his chair, and a very handy height indeed when it comes to inbounds and the manipulation of the ball and looking for passes. These two know each other so well from meeting at the biggest competitions and in the biggest moments around the globe. They got familiar with each other earlier in the year at the Quad Nations in Cardiff, and on that occasion in the final, Japan came away triumphant. It is Tokyo's silver medalist USA against Tokyo's bronze medalist Japan. USA in blue against Japan in red in the wheelchair rugby at Paris 2024, and it is Japan who take the first possession of the match. Ikezaki finding the going slightly tough, sporting a very new eye-catching shade of hairdo as well for the Paris occasion. You'll be very familiar with seeing the sight of him throughout the competition, linking up with number 21, the other Ike Yukinobu, the captain. And this guy, Chuck Aoki, you'll hear his name plenty too, and this is a name not just for now but for the future. Sarah Adam marked her Paralympic debut, her history-making debut, with a few tries and a number of very impressive interventions, both sides of the ball, defensively and on offense. And for those of you familiar, unfamiliar with wheelchair basketball, all the players out there are carrying classifications. You can see it just hanging underneath the back of the chair of Chuck Aoki as an early turnover is going to go the way of Japan, and they steal a 2-point advantage. So 3-1 Japan lead. Adam dispossessed, just a claw coming in there from Ike. Managing to rip that ball away. So early advantage to Japan, but as I was saying, you can see the classification of the chairs, and it's nothing to do with the chair, it's to do with the athlete, it's their functionality. The higher the functionality, the higher the classification. So Chuck Aoki, very mobile, very powerful, has good control of his limbs and trunk. 3.5 is the highest classification, but 3 is the next down. So the higher the classification, the higher the functionality. And cumulatively, your team on court at any one time between the 4 of you can only have 8 points on court. But for USA, because there is a female player on court, that is bumped up to 8.5. So if you're sat at home doing the maths, working out the numbers off the back of the chairs, that's why the USA are able to total 8.5. First time out spent by Japan, and almost Ikazaki having his pocket picked, but it looks like there was some contact from Aoki. Ikazaki sort of gesture that he made have copped it in the face as well. Wow, it was, well, he does just sort of get swatted around the nose there, doesn't he? Very nice play, though, from Sarah Adam, who reached through and just poking the ball from his grasp. It was Aoki's over-exuberance to capitalise upon that led to the foul, and you can see Aoki down in the penalty box. That means he has to be there for either 60 seconds or when the opposition next score, whichever comes soonest, and more often than not, it is just like Ike's doing there, scoring first, and then Aoki is allowed out. But Ike took his time there because he wanted his teammates to block Chuck Aoki in that penalty box so that he had to take the inbound, which is a way of sort of taking control away from the USA and their ability to structure their attack. But as you can see, they got not just Aoki as their weapon, Sarah Adam, very adept at scoring. She's racing back to try and have an impact on Ogawa Hitoshi. He was out there in Tokyo winning bronze. Plays his club rugby for Blitz, which was actually founded by Shimakawa Shinichi, who was on the Japanese team. Legend of the sport in Japan, wearing number 13. Big hit coming in from Ogawa. I beg your pardon, sorry, that was Kusaba, who's making his first major competition bout, in fact. Not just the Paralympic debuts, he only took the sport up in 2020. Drawn to the sport by the collisions, and you can see he's got a little appetite for destruction himself. Play recommences. Chuck Aoki kicking out Simons. Oh, it's a really nice pass under pressure on the lean back. Ike comes across, and that's a real good hit. Oh, it got tight by the post there for Adam, but she judged it perfectly. If you clip the post before you hit the line with 2 wheels, it's no try and it's a turnover. So you really, really need to know the dimensions of your chair. Oh, there's a squabble on the floor, and USA miraculously have come away. Aoki is all hemmed in there. 3 sets of arms around him. But cool as you like. Finds Simons, then finds the power, then the blast, and then Adam. Big roar from the significant USA contingent here at the Champ de Mars. Some pretty loose limbs going in there around Chuck Aoki's face. You could see him protesting. Ogawa patiently waits for the ball to bounce into his lap, and it is a try for the 30-year-old. Adam looking to go the long way around. Ogawa can't quite make the pick on her wheel. Ikazaki read it really well and put the jets on, came round and cut her off. Looks like she may wriggle free, but it's a bouncing ball that hasn't been taken cleanly. Simons careered into by Ikazaki, shows good composure, finds Adam. She double pumps and sees a couple of Japanese chairs fly past. Aoki on the pirouette, lovely blocking line from Adam. It just afforded Aoki the space and created enough deception for him to glide through. There was some urgency there. You can see the red clock in the corner. That was ticking down. You only have 40 seconds with which to score a try. Big play, big play there from Adam. Kusaba. Wow, was that contact to the arm? The call's gone the USA way. Scores level, it's half a dozen apiece. I'm sure there'll be some Japanese fans looking at that thinking, they've been done a little unjustly there. Josh Wheeler onto the court. Adam across the line. Well, there is a symmetry to life, isn't there? That Adam was the one who came in with the challenge to win the ball, and she's the one then converting and scoring. Two fast, powerful chairs collide. Hashimoto with Wheeler. This guy is a young sensation. Really excited to see what he can do on the grandest stage. He is utterly determined and bullish in the manner in which he goes about his business. He was player of the final in the Quad Nations triumph over the USA in Cardiff. Timeout called by the USA. First one came from Japan. And these timeouts are key. They are used, by and large, to preserve possession when time pressure comes on. If you can't get out of your half, or you think you can't get out of your half within 12 seconds, which is the limit, then you might use a timeout. If you are looking to structure the clock in your favor at the end of the period to be the last team to score, which is an important tactic in the game, you might use a timeout. Or if you're just absolutely surrounded and you see no way out and you don't want to give a turnover, look at the high-octane stuff from Hashimoto. Left stricken on the floor. And USA don't think twice about capitalising. Well, Chuck Aoki's having an animated back and forth there with Kristin Hempfling of Germany, who's one of our two referees out there. But it's Ike going long to Hashimoto, who plays for the Tohoku Stormers. when asked who his hero is, his sporting hero, it is none other than Ikazaki Daisuke, who he now gets to feature in his second Paralympics with, and a timeout comes from the United States because they couldn't find an inbound. You've got 10 seconds to inbound the ball, and due to really attentive pressure from Japan, that's a look, isn't it? USA forced into taking the second timeout in not so many seconds. Well, the going is tough for Chuck Aoki, but he's got Adam alongside him. She goes to Wheeler. Good passing game, this USA side. Aoki receiving that last pass, then just burrows his way through the rest of the wheels. There's Wheeler, who got a lot of good steals yesterday against Canada. Fantastic game. 2.5 classification, so really right up there with one of the very best mid-pointers going. Started his journey at the Utah Scorpions Club. And now he's here in Paris at another Paralympics. Hashimoto, really exciting, really fast. Contact coming in there from Aoki, so tries awarded. And Adam with the inbound. This is where USA struggled last time, but good old Chuck is always a safe pair of hands. You'll see Chuck Aoki so dominant on the ball. He's kind of like the USA quarterback. Dictates the players around and in front of him, and while he's fast and he's strong, and you see him capable there of just blasting into another man, that man being Norematsu Seiya. He's a wonderful tactician. I think he allows other players to flourish around him as well with his passing game, with his intelligence, and his on-the-spot thinking. So there's Norematsu, who's widely regarded the finest 1.5 category player in Japan. Multiple awards bestowed upon him in the Japanese National League. He comes out of the penalty box and he puts his arm up to say, hey, I'll take this inbound. And he finds his captain, Ike. Ike, you see just a little hint of that manipulation that he has. Now he's running out of time to get across the center line, but he backs himself and he does get across just before the 12 seconds elapses. Then finds Hashimoto. That is just all strength and determination. Everywhere he turned, it's a blue jersey. Oh, and the pressure on the inbound tells again. Hashimoto, the beneficiary. Japan stretch into a lead. Well, that's twice problems have been caused for the United States of America. Adams on the end of this one. Hashimoto is there to say konnichiwa. And Aoki again just pumps the brakes, picks his spot, and then weaves his way through. 11 apiece with 1 minute and 6 seconds on the clock. So some clock management to be done here on both Japan and the United States part. It'll be largely dictated by how quickly Japan score. And with Hashimoto on the ball, it's usually pretty fast. 53.8 seconds remaining. That is pretty much bang on. in terms of strategy. 55, around about that mark, is what's aimed for by teams. And that means that the USA will have an opportunity to score, but with the possession only being 40 seconds long per team, that should, in theory, leave a minimum of 13.8 seconds for Japan to respond. Ike, it's a really firm hit that sticks on Aoki. Then in comes Norimatsu. Pretty stationary from the States. Thought for a moment they may just play for the timeout play, but instead it's with Adam. Now Aoki, he has to really shovel one under pressure, and it ricochets off a Japanese player. Adam running out of time. USA forced into the timeout. I'm not sure that was the strategy. They did it with half a second left, and it means they will have the full remainder of the clock left to try and mount the attack. But the key thing is here is USA now only have one player timeout for the entirety of the rest of the match. Chuck Melton onto the field for the inbound. Goodness, Japan are making USA work so hard for a semblance of room. And that is testament to the pressure. That is a rich reward. In play they go. After the USA went out of play. Hashimoto, he won't be stopped from here, or will he? Now he manages to wriggle across. That's a 2-point lead. USA will go for the long ball, the Hail Mary. Can Aoki get onto it? Oh, that is like nothing you will see anywhere. Extraordinary from the USA. Chuck to chuck. Insane levels of athleticism and commitment. Oh yeah, it's not just Yuzi. Everyone in the Champ de Mars revved up by that incredible play from the USA. What a finish to a brilliant first period that looked to be seeing Japan head into the break, leading by 2, but for a moment of absolute magic from the two Chucks. It's at the break, United States 12, Japan 13.
Bringing it back to 12-13. Japan edging in front.
Supporters des États-Unis, est-ce que vous êtes là, les États-Unis?
Well, that's how it's played out. But I don't think anyone's thinking about the stats at the moment. All they're thinking about is that final play from the United States. That's why they only trail by 1 at this stage. One period down in the contest between the United States of America and Japan. And it's the Japanese leading 13 tries to 12. Second period of this big matchup between the United States of America and Japan underway, and the ball in the arms of Chuck Aoki, who has left the entire arena reeling from the skill that he just produced to set up the last try of the period. And it's a try which is hugely impactful, because with the first possession of this period, the USA are now level, where once they may have been one down still. Never seen anything like it. Ikazaki. He probably has. He's been around for an awfully long time. Been to a lot of Paralympics. But this is potentially his successor. This is the next generation, Hashimoto. He cites his father, Hashimoto Shinya, as another of his inspirations alongside Ikazaki. Chuck Aoki at the moment is inspiring everyone. Everyone in this arena, and particularly the United States. There's his old teammate, Coach Delagrave, as he's known now. And Ikazaki, very distinctive, that wriggle, the two-handed alternate generation of power, very similar to Jonathan Ivana, France's finest. And Hashimoto finds a way through. Timeout. Timeout forced. And that is the United States of America's last time out. Well, they've got a long way to go with no timeouts, USA. They've got 2 coaches' timeouts remaining, which is 60 seconds long. There's Hashimoto, as his attention's on Aoki. Aoki, really, there's no doubt about it, one of the best players on the planet. He has been for a long time. He's done so much for the Star-Spangled Jersey. He is desperate to deliver gold after heartbreak against GB in Tokyo and a silver. Again, the inbound really tricky for the USA. And Aoki having to spin out. Hashimoto's looking to cut him off, and he's doing really well. Stretch ball. Wheeler takes it in. Now he's spinning around, pirouetting, great composure. Aoki receives. Forges ahead. 10 seconds remaining. O'Neill round the corner. The man who made his debut back in 2022 in Medellin gets across for a Paralympic try. $15 apiece, and Hashimoto in for another try. The game's leading scorer, knocking on the door of 10 with 9. Beautifully timed pass. We got the call from Josh O'Neill. He did the rest. Well, it's made to look easy there for Hashimoto, but really it is the work of the likes of Ogara and Hasekawa creating that room for him. Ikazaki was doing some good work as well. Aoki is on the ball. He's going to be too fast. Or is he? Pops the ball off. He's got such good awareness of where his teammates are, and Wheeler is to be commended for working hard off the ball as well. You not just let a man or woman go sailing away and think that they've got the job done. You need to be offering that additional pass, that extra level of support. USA key up. O'Neill and Wheeler in the key. Aoki then goes in. Fredette has to stay out. You're only allowed 3 in there, so it's Fredette on Hashimoto. The more mobile Hashimoto spins Fredette out of the way. Ikazaki gives Fredette a little nudge en route. Then Ikazaki is picked out by Hashimoto. A real Rubik's Cube of a defensive pattern from the United States, but solved by the Japanese. All. Another one for Chuck. Ikazaki. The wheels back, and again, USA flood the key. Fredette, again, the more promoted individual, whilst Aoki, O'Neill and Wheeler fill the space. Hashimoto tries to do a bit of damage, but the pass from Ikazaki is picked off. He collects, and that is a big play from Aoki, but it was a coordinated siege effort. Just too tight in there, the arching back of Aoki slapping the ball away. Japan, running out of time on the shot clock, were forced to use one of their timeouts there. On comes Ike. He gives it to Ikazaki, who accelerates through the hole that was created. Japan lead again. Wheeler just about reels it in. He was on the stretch, moving at a bit of pace, great dexterity. He skirts around Kusaba. Sarah Adam back in the tries again. Ike, captain, who is back on, has spoken really openly about the heartache of their bronze in Tokyo. He scores a try there. There was a sense amongst him and I think the rest of the Japanese team that it was their destiny to claim gold in Tokyo. It marked 23 years since Ike took to a wheelchair and felt that that was their time and it would be he and Japan's only time. But he now reflected, he's shaken it off and he's come to Paris with newfound optimism, new belief that this is here for them in Paris, and he feels he's at the peak of his powers. Maybe not physically like he was in Tokyo, but certainly in terms of experience, performances, his ability to impact the game, not just as an individual, but as a team player. Although he does concede that he still can't quite understand how they didn't win gold in Tokyo. It really felt like it was created for them. There were scenes of real disappointment, distress even, in the aftermath of their semi-final loss to Great Britain, and had they won that, they would have booked a place with USA in the final. You can see they are immensely well supported. It's a sport that captured the imagination of the Japanese sporting public. It was just such a shame that they weren't able to see it themselves in the Yoyogi in downtown Tokyo back in 2021. Just on the doorstep of the magic 2-minute mark, the time when clock management becomes paramount. Ike in for a try with Ikazaki, the assist. High press from Japan, again looking to make the inbound as difficult as possible, and they have done successfully. Adam on the ball, lots of chairs around her, and the pit bar as well. Engaged from Wakayama. Big Hail Mary coming. Ike's going to intercept. Big play from Japan. He finds Ikazaki, but Aoki comes in. And the call is that it's good for the USA. Ikazaki said there was arm contact there. Wow. It is a dogfight out there, isn't it? Such great play from Wakayama. Ike got onto it. He then looked for his old buddy Ikazaki. Aoki arrived on the scene, and now USA have possession back. Look at that from Kusaba. I think I felt a tremble in the Tori fell from that one. $21 apiece. Up he comes, Kusaba. He plays for the Fukuoka Dandelion back in Japan. Ikazaki watching the clock, and now launching. Josh Wheeler is there. Oh, was Ike's wheels across the line before he took that. Referee says it's good. We saw some real animation from the USA bench. Aoki. Wheeler, beautifully worked. Oh, Simons has a little juggle, but eventually it sticks. The passing game of the USA really at times is unrivaled. Ike, his almost customary one-handed take his periscope up. Such a skill, such an advantage to have. It's specifically for inbounds, but it bounces off the chair. And now it's loose. It's loose until Aoki gets a sniff. Chuck charges to the line. Well, harem-scarem stuff to close out this period. Squeezed away, Simons manages to resource it. He takes the heat off the ball. Butler's unattended. Time running out. Off the back of Ikazaki, now to Ike. Surely there won't be time for any score of any sort, but everyone's loving it. That's the bottom line. Fiercely contested, plenty of turnover opportunity, and not a point between the two great nations. What a joy this match is here at Paris 2024. Half-time in Group A. United States of America 22, Japan 22.
Allez, l'Arena Champ de Mars, tous ensemble, on tape dans les mains maintenant, c'est parti. Tap, 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 tap. Plus fort.
Well, that's the tale of the half in terms of the stats. Twice as many steals for Japan, but 2 turnovers to USA's none. USA infringing a little bit more on the penalty front. As it stands, not a point between them, 22 apiece at the break.
S'il vous plaît, un maximum de bruit pour Box Kingdom. Plus fort, plus fort, plus fort, plus fort. Est-ce qu'il y a des supporters de l'équipe de France ici? Si vous débarquez pour la première fois à l'Arena Champ de Mars, c'est une petite tradition. On vous tient au courant de tout ce qui se passe partout ici à Paris pendant les Jeux Paralympiques. Hier, on a eu nos 3 premières médailles, 2 en or, 1 en or, et 2 en argent. Je suis allé un peu vite. Et là, je peux vous annoncer qu'il y a une bonne nouvelle qui vient de tomber. Est-ce que vous avez déjà entendu parler d'Alexandre Lotté? L'Arena Champ de Mars, du bruit pour Alexandre Lotté qui vient de battre, de pulvériser le record du monde en cyclisme. On le retrouvera cet après-midi en finale et croyez-moi, comptez sur moi pour vous annoncer une bonne nouvelle. Allez, l'Arena Champ de Mars, c'est à vous de bosser maintenant. Direction l'écran géant. Regardez bien, si c'est votre tête qui apparaît, eh bien c'est simple, on cherche le fan du jour avec Toyota. Qui sera le meilleur fan de la journée? Voilà, c'est comme ça que ça se passe. Une fois qu'on y est, il faut tout donner. Qui sera le meilleur fan ici à l'Arena Champ de Mars? vous avez? Qui sera le meilleur fan avec Toyota? L'Arena Champ-de-Mars, est-ce que vous en avez encore sous le pied? Dans quelques secondes, faites-moi confiance, ça va être à vous de tout donner. Chauffez-vous un petit peu la voix, on va faire ça tous ensemble. Et dans quelques instants, je vais entendre du palam, palam. À vous de chanter.
Group A action in the wheelchair rugby at Paris 2024. And there is not a point between them. United States of America 22, Japan 22. And we're enjoying a sing-along here at the Champ de Mars. Something that you may be familiar with, having seen at the various opening and closing ceremonies, and a bit of rugby union support there with a couple of Brave Blossom jerseys. I have to say, the chapeaus on show here in the Champ de Mars are something else. Star-spangled top hat, and also one with the flag, the land of the rising sun too. Second half of the clash between the USA and Japan in the wheelchair rugby at Paris 2024 is underway, and Japan in red find a pass to their young gun, 22-year-old Hashimoto, who helped himself to plenty of tries in the opening two stanzas of this one. It has been a fascinating and edge of your seat game where errors have come from both sides, and these are two very distinguished nations. We're talking about USA reigning world and Paralympic silver medalists, Japan former world champions and Tokyo bronze medalists. Wouldn't put it down to poor execution, more a credit to the pressure that both these sides have been applying on each other at all parts of the court. And you see there, this is Chuck Aoki we're talking about. This is a man who makes an error a decade. The big telescopic limb of Ike getting into him. Eventually, Chuck finds his way through. But everyone is working so hard off the ball, from Kurahashi in the 3 jersey to Norimatsu, and then the combination of the higher point players like Hashimoto and Ike. And look at the quality of the ball required to unlock the defense on an angle, and then Hashimoto on the stretch. Simon's doing his level best to Superman his way into the path. There's Hashimoto saying, yeah, more of that, you and me. Let's keep it telepathic. Simons. Big Mason Simons. No stopping him. 24 apiece. Next possession, as it stands, will lie with the United States of America, but there could be a bit of flipping of the arrow as this period unfolds. We'll see. Both these sides finish top of their respective pools in Tokyo. Both 3 wins from 3. So they missed each other in the semi-finals, but it was only the USA that made it to the final. They've got a bit of new personnel to call upon. Sarah Adam from St. Louis, Missouri, is continuing to make a statement here in this Games as the US's first ever female Paralympian in wheelchair rugby. Just wondering to see what was going on there, and it turns out it's an equipment malfunction. So you've got 60 seconds to get the toolkit out and make sure everything's tickety-boo. Doesn't cost you a timeout, but it does give everybody a pause for thought. There we go. Wheel back on for Mason Simons. He lives in Austin, Texas. Moved there, in fact, back in 2012. He basically got a few stern truths from the US para team about what it would take to get to a Paralympics. It was at a military development camp. He was a sort of multi-talented national veteran wheelchair gamesman, but he made the move. Dedicate himself to wheelchair rugby. Chuck Aoki gets his pocket picked by Hashimoto, but he recovers. 16 seconds on the shot clock. No chance for Kurahashi with Chuck travelling at that sort of pace. But undeterred, she goes right back at him and looks to pick his wheel. Now she turns her attention to Adam. Trading tries at the moment here, USA and Japan. Almost running out of room, but Ike not fast enough to slammed the door on Aoki. He went wide right. Norimatsu got a tricky inbound here, but I mean, that is the gift of Ike. See just how much higher in his chair he is, and also he has the dexterity to take the ball one-handed, but Hashimoto has allowed US fingers in the till. He was being harangued by two blue chairs, and he lost control. Shake of the head and a turnover in favour of the USA. Aoki looking to find a way through. He's getting a bit of cover from O'Neill. But Ike and Hashimoto are being very attentive. He decides to retreat and has O'Neill with him for company. Fredette's out wide. Fredette is looking to take out Ike. Hinders him pretty well. O'Neill into it, but then arrives Norimatsu. Ike blocks off Aoki, less than 10 seconds. Aoki into reverse, gonna look for Wheeler here. Oh, he's gonna look to force Ike out of court. Well, it was his only course of action, really. There were no passes on. He couldn't get through the red wall. So he bumped and he bumped and he bumped, and he forced Ike's back wheels out of court. And that's why a penalty try was awarded. So many factors going on in a match of wheelchair rugby. You've got to have your head on a swivel, you're moving, you're passing, but also you've got to have awareness of the rules and the opposition. Wheeler almost in reverse, and under that pressure can only pick out Ike. And Ike levels things at Hashimoto, just dropping it into the low ratio gear and driving through Wheeler. And the panic was setting in. Wheeler could feel himself getting closer and closer to the backcourt, knowing that if he was forced out, it'd be a turnover. So instead, he launched the speculator. Ike latched on, and Japan now have the lead again. One coach timeout remaining for the USA. They have 0 player timeouts. This could prove pivotal as the game unfolds. They used 3 of their player timeouts in the first period, so they've done well till now. Agawa, Ikazaki, Hasegawa all not to the field of play, so much changed lineup. And Hashimoto is playing a really prominent role out here. O'Neill finds the pass to Aoki, despite being all snarled up by Hasegawa and co, who shares some commonality with Sarah Adam in that Hasegawa Yuki is the first female to have represented Japan at wheelchair rugby. Pioneer. Hashimoto, no way through. Throws one in reverse when he's travelling right. Nicely done. And he finds his hero. And he says, thank you very much. Wheeler at full speed. using Hasegawa as a speed bump. And then finding the pass. 30-all. Ikazaki tries to blast the passage for Hashimoto. There's no room round the right. Fredette has come out to lock horns with Hashimoto. He looks to wriggle and maneuver his way through. Still, the USA defense can't be breached. Time running out for Hashimoto, who's forced into a timeout. Wonderful key defense from the United States of America. Fredette, Aoki, O'Neill and Wheeler working in unison.
Moment très important pour l'équipe du Japon. Supporters de l'Arena chante du marche, faites du bruit, clap, 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 clap.
Back in play and back in the hands of Hashimoto, who has a one long big run up, finds Ike. Spinning foul on him as he collected the pass, so a penalty try. Spinning foul is when contact is made behind the axis of the chair, deemed dangerous, and you've got an unfair advantage in terms of unbalancing a chair. That was full-blooded, but it was front on and full on and perfectly legal from Hashimoto and Adam. Wheeler trapped by Hasegawa and Ike, then Hasegawa retreats. Ogawa's on the other side of the key, he ventures out. And he's into Aoki, that's really nicely done, and Butler does a good job of getting in the way of Hasegawa so that Aoki can just about squeeze home down that right side. Goodness me, taking my eye off the clock, and only just over a minute remaining of this third period, so it's going to get tactical around about now. Aoki with another blowout. Plenty of tries, a couple of steals, in dialogue with the referee as well. So there's the inbound, and it's collected, so now the clock starts. Hashimoto. Picking his moment, picking his time, trying to pick his gap, but Aoki's there. Real good tussle between those two, and it's just about home. You've got to tip your hat to Hasegawa, who not only got in the way of Adam, but also was an obstacle for Aoki, who was hounding him round the corner, hounding Hashimoto, that is. So good time to score. Japan leading by one, and the monster smash looks to have knocked the USA player back across court. There we go. Oh. So, big moment that. Turnover to Japan. It was pure timing. Just arrival. And Adam was bounced back across the line, and just like basketball, you can't carry it back across the centre line once you've crossed. So really astute play. And now, Japan, with the turnover, clock is really on their side. This is essentially last play. If they can eke down the clock, there shouldn't be enough time for USA to reply. Though we said that in the first period, and the two chucks combined for a wondrous moment. Japan looking to get the last try of the period, looking to head in, leading by two. They've got the two-try lead. I wonder, could they have squeezed a little bit more time out of the clock there? 8.4 seconds. is ample for USA to do some damage. They'll have the possession first up as well. Come the fourth quarter, Ike racing across, but he doesn't have it in him. That is pinpoint perfection and timing to boot. Aoki to Fredette. Fredette held his wheels within the court before spinning across. USA get the all-important final try of the period, and it means that they head into the break. Look at that, into the grip. Less than a quarter of a revolution away. Awesome timing, awesome match, and it hangs in the balance after the third period. USA 32, Japan 33. Five steals for Japan. They have been really good, but 3 turnovers on the other side of the coin. USA infringing a little bit more on the penalty front. Brilliant game, super tight.
Ce match. Je veux voir maintenant tout le monde debout pour encourager les joueurs. Rien n'est fait dans ce match ultra important pour les deux équipes. Team USA, Team Japon, tout le monde debout.
Fourth period incoming. The United States of America trail Japan 32-33 in the wheelchair rugby at the Champ de Mars. It is getting triple lively here in Paris at the Paralympic Games. Butler, ready to inbound for the United States of America, finds Adam. Japan leading by 1 try. Oh, Adam being met by 2 big blows. Holds a nerve, gives it to Aoki, he gets around Kurahashi. And all of these Japanese players got plenty of minutes against Germany in their opener. A lot of combinations, given a bit of oxygen out there. So it allows Japan to be really versatile, to shuffle the deck and find the strategies to break down the USA. Actually been on top just by a whisker, Japan, but USA, they just continue to fight. Hashimoto in tandem with Ike now. That's Kurahashi to thank for making room down the right. And Japan have their lead again. 1 coach's timeout remaining for the United States of America. 2 coaches, 1 player for Japan. Will that be significant when we get down to the decisive seconds in this 4th period? Will we get our first overtime of the Paralympics? Whisper it. Ike. Does very nicely indeed. Man who came to wheelchair rugby off the back of having missed out on selection for the Rio Paralympics for wheelchair basketball. Wheelchair basketball's loss is this sports game because he's been one of the stars the last 2 Paralympic cycles. And here he is, trying to lead his team to not just an important victory against USA in terms of qualification for the semi-finals, but psychologically, momentum-wise, that is beautifully, so deftly spun out of the hand into Norimatsu. He hails from Omuta, Kyushu, which is the most southerly of the 4 main islands of Japan, of the archipelago at large. And Hashimoto cuts things off for Aoki, then gets an arm in. Who's it come off? That's the question. Wow. Tell you what, I think that's clipped Chuck Aoki. And I think Chuck knows it too. And most crucially, the referee does. Nakamachi Shunya. Oh, just loses. Oh, loses it from his grasp, and now he's under pressure. Wow, that was unfortunate, wasn't it? He had to call a timeout there because you only have 10 seconds to inbound the ball. So after retrieving, felt he didn't have enough time, would be rushing the option. So called the timeout. And the inbound will be taken from this near side. Ike wheels free from Wheeler. And Ike is going to take his time crossing the line, give the rest of his teammates as much opportunity as possible to pick their positions and try and hunt down the various USA chairs. Aoki seeks out Adam, it goes alley-oop style to Wheeler. And he doesn't miss from there. Tense game, 36-37. Ike in command of the ball. Kurahashi goes round the side. Wow, this beautifully worked. So simple. And Nakamachi getting on the end of it. Another one of the Tohoku Stormers. His hero, funnily enough, is Joe Delagrave, the USA coach. I'm sure he can put that hero worshipping to one side for a big win over the USA here in the pool stage of the Paralympics. Again, admirable pressure being applied by Japan high up on the inbounds for the USA. It's been a feature of this match so far, and it's yielded some really good results. Wheeler. He's not going to be stopped. He does give the pass to Aoki. But it was all about his speed, his balance, his rhythm, as he just wended his way through the red jerseys. Japan still with this break. And Nakamachi. He hails from Saitama, which is actually home to one of the greatest rugby union sides in Japan, the Wild Knights. Shows that there is try-scoring in the blood of those from Saitama. Oh, that's a real stretch, and it's so well done from O'Neill. But for a moment, it might get away from him. But it was pin perfect from Wheeler, just enough backspin to hold it up for O'Neill. Ikazaki gets cut off by Aoki, wheels back round. Ike gives him a hand as he careers into O'Neill, and it's a beautiful ball to Nakamachi. The 2-point classification player having really strong impact in this fourth period. Big call, actually, coming from Kishi Kotaro, because Nakamachi hasn't played any minutes, hasn't played any seconds at all in this one so far. He only played 3 minutes and 53 seconds yesterday against Germany, so yeah, he's a man who hasn't been used liberally, so to speak. Yeah, he's been brought on for the big period. With it very, very finely poised. Seeing some of the mechanics of these chairs that the players use. These are specifically for wheelchair rugby. They're nimble, they're fast, they're clearly combative, and you can just see there from O'Neill, the low classification player, he's got an added metal joust there. It's called a pick bar, and that is the part of the chair that the low point players use to snarl up the wheels of the more mobile high classification players like Chuck Aoki. Doesn't have one of those picks, he's just got rounded edges, and the chair zips about a little bit more. Oh, the pass doesn't land in Wheeler's hands. Possibly the first time in Paris. A rare malfunction in the try-scoring umbilical cord that exists between Aoki and Wheeler. Maybe just a little too much fizz as Wheeler's hands came up a little late. And these are big issues to solve for the USA now. They already trail by 2. And some additional tape being applied and resin as well. It's there's all sorts of gubbins on the hands for these players to help with catching the ball. Shimoto has caught a fair few today. It's been rewarded with 18 tries. And he's been putting himself about defensively as well. Really exciting to have such a talented young man in the sport. 22 years old, we could be set for a couple of decades of Hashimoto at the top. There aren't a huge number of players his age who are getting this many minutes on court. You know, there are some real legends of the game who've been around a long time, like Ikazaki, Ike, and then you look at other nations like Riley Batt. He's signaled that it's going to be his final Paralympics after this one. So the next generation is coming through, very much inspired by the deeds of the elders who've gone before them on the grandest stage, which is the Paralympics. Interesting, Ike just sucking in a few chairs. We've got some timeouts to work with. And of course, there's only 3 on court at the moment for the USA, so really Ike looking to eke as many seconds from the clock there. He does so. Mason Simons rejoins the game. Ikazaki gets a wheel change. And after all of that, Japan lead by 3. Simons This is a bit of an incline for the USA to try and scale now. Back to within 2. They need a couple of big plays. They need a Japanese error or a steal or turnover of sorts to get the ball rolling for them. Ike. There's going to be no rush to get across that line. All Japan care about now is getting the ball safely across the line. With a glance up at the clock from Ikazaki. Winds up, heads into heavy traffic, finds Ike, forces his way across. 42-39. Adam. Again, that high press from the Japanese, making life difficult for the USA, and it could be another steal. The big arm of Ike getting on that Aoki ball, then the ball is too long from Adam. It goes over Simon's head. The errors and the opportunities for the Japanese are beginning to mount up in their favour. Norimatsu. I was going to say he was about to take the inbound, but some changes are coming. Ogawa Hitoshi, who is part of the starting line, is on. And Sagawa's out there, Hashimoto and Ike, whilst Fredette is there. So too O'Neill. And of course, Aoki doesn't miss a second. Hashimoto rejuvenated, linking up with Ike, who in turn does so with Ogawa. Japan lead by 4 with 2 minutes and a bit of change on the clock. USA got to do something pretty special here. Wheeler's pass almost gets cut off. Aoki does the rest from range. The scoring coming easy for Japan, whose fans here are getting ever so noisy. They got the batons, they got the flags. It is a carnival atmosphere, but there is apprehension as well. USA never know when they're beaten. Wheeler to Aoki. They're looking like they're going to be dealt their first loss of the group stage of Paris 2024. Aoki directs a bit of traffic. Oh, but it's heavy traffic everywhere he turns. Ike, one of the men you don't want in front of you, swiping his arms around, but it's a brilliant ball to Wheeler. USA get the try. The clock is not their friend, though. They invite the Japanese onto attackers. They load up the key. Ike says, thank you very much. Reinstates the 4-try leads. This will be a marquee win for Japan. It'll be a statement sent to the rest of the competition, one that contains so many riders of substance. So many potential medalists. To even get to the semi-finals is going to be an effort. We're going to lose some big names, some big nations. USA and Wheeler are going to go down, but they're going to go down swinging in this one against Japan. Crowd on their feet for the final act. Hashimoto with the ball in his lap. He'll ride out the clock. And Japan will record a big victory over the United States of America.
C'est terminé ici à l'arena du Champlain. Victoire du Japon, 45-42.
Full time in game number 6 here at
Group A,
24.
and the fans of Japan and the United States of America have been treated to a high caliber clash. And it's one that those fluttering the Japanese flag will be celebrating this evening. Ikazaki and co are back, and they've got a big scalp here. They take down the Tokyo silver medalist, the United States of America, 45-42, to put themselves in prime position for semi-final qualification at Paris 2024.
Qui vont faire leur traditionnel tour d'honneur. Vous avez été au top.
What a vibe it has been here.
Un maximum de bruit pour Team USA.
The Japanese fans have been in fine voice. And they brought all the paraphernalia you could possibly imagine, and their team have duly rewarded them. Really impressive display from Japan. Both they and USA have come into this competition as one of the favourites, as two of the favourites rather, and they've done nothing to diminish that view. Japan have very much enhanced it, and their fans are responding here in the Champ de Mars.
Voilà les premiers résultats qui s'affichent dans ce groupe A. On rappelle que dans la compétition de rugby fauteuil, il y a deux groupes, le groupe A, le groupe B, le Japon et les États-Unis qui font tous les deux parties de ce groupe A avec 2 victoires. Le Japon est en tête avec 4 points. Très très bonne position pour
These are the final match statistics with turnovers pretty level come the conclusion. The steals are right up there from Japan. The USA far more penalties than the Japanese. Ultimately, Japan running out victorious, and now 2 from 2, and now very much in the box seat when it comes to qualification for the semi-finals. USA still second, with Canada and Germany to face off in their second round match.
L'Arena Champ-Mars, merci à tous d'avoir participé à cette session de rugby fauteuil qui est terminée pour aujourd'hui. Merci tout simplement d'avoir participé aux Jeux Paralympiques de Paris 2024. Surtout, n'oubliez pas avant de partir de vérifier que vous avez tous vos effets personnels. Soyez prudents, rentrez bien et n'hésitez pas à revenir nous voir dès que possible. Un grand merci à vous, l'Arena Champ-Mars.
That concludes today's session. Thank you very much for being part of 2 amazing games and a fantastic atmosphere which will have transmitted from Paris around the world. Congratulations to Great Britain and Japan on their wins. 2 more matches in our evening session, which starts here at 5:30. Thank you very much for your amazing support. Please do take all your belongings with you.
Day 2 of the wheelchair rugby programme at Paris 2024 has delivered victories for Great Britain and Japan at the expense of Denmark and USA respectively. Plenty more action to come across the programme here at Paris 2024.